Hello everybody, this is Rainer Wendt and we are here today with an online panel discussions. We have 4 participants in total. I have 3 guests and we are talking about business analysis career roadmap, about business analysis roles and skills. Yes, and I am happy to have you all here and I would like to shortly introduce the panelists. So, first of all, I'm very happy to have Victoria Cupet here. Hi, Victoria. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I was muted, yes.
Nice to have you here. And then we jump to the bottom of the screen. This is Jan. Hi, Jan from Düsseldorf. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you very much for having me today. Glad to be there.
Yes, and we have Stefan Bossuwé from Brussels, actually, or probably close to Brussels.
Well, at the moment I'm in Antwerp, but hey, good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be here. Excited to look at your questions and to reply them together with the 2 other ones. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. This will really a big Q&A, a question and answer session. But before we start with this, we give all a kind of a thesis, one slider where we provoke the discussion. So I would just say 2 words about myself. I'm Rainer Wendt and I'm hosting this webinar or this panel discussion with my company, masVenta Business GmbH, a German company, and we are as well hosting the European BA Day. But I would like to quickly jump to the first slide and ask Victoria to take over the word.
Hi, thank you. So based on the definition of business analyst in the book version 3, anyone who is doing business analysis independently of what their job title, organizational role is called business analyst. This is very broad and general definition, but in real life, all the organizations and any organization have several definitions of roles and functions for the same business analyst. Yeah. So as you can see on this slide, these are the results from Global Business Analysis Salaries, which IIBA performed this year. And out of more than 5,000 respondents from 129 countries, you can see that only 40% of those who submitted their answers were pure business analysts. The rest of them are either like a hybrid role or a combination between a project manager, business analyst, a technical analyst, like IT business analyst, or a business system analyst, or roles. That means that the career path is quite broad and it can be either in-depth or in narrow, like cross-functional. Also on this slide on the left, you can see the areas where business analysts are involved and also the majority of work is done on business analysis. You can see as well that project management, process management, even analytics or quality assurance are also performed by business analysts. Mm-hmm. And on the bottom are the career aspirations. And of course, some people are still dreaming in becoming entry-level business analysts, but also other already are more like experienced mid-level, senior level, and also think and dream to become managers or even like top managers, senior managers. Yeah, so this is from my side. I hope this is useful for you to see the statistics on real practices which are happening globally. And I invite you to download this salary survey from my IIBA website if you want more information. Thank you.
Thank you, Victoria. Yeah, really impressive. So this is the first one. Please keep it in mind for your questions or even fire your questions right now. We will work on them later. And yes, the next one in turn will be Jan Siebrecht. And yes, sent this nice picture. Jan, thank you for this. And let us know what you mean.
All right. Yes, so I work a lot with these little Bitmojis avatars just to make slides a little funnier, more interesting. Victoria just mentioned it. Classically, many people had the impression that the only way you could grow as a business analyst coming from maybe development was then after being a business analyst to become project manager or line manager. So, and we've in our BA community here given this a lot of thought because we think you should have also the opportunity to grow within this role of a business analyst. And so I illustrated this in this picture with kind of this 4 stages of learning and mastery. So This is nothing completely new. I didn't invent this. I just gathered it from other experiences and kind of rephrase it a bit. So when you first start, the way I see it, you start as a novice in pretty much anything. You learn certain techniques, and they are tailored for specific situations. You then apply these techniques as they were taught, and for those specific just kind of controlled environment situations. So I don't know, how to run interviews, or how to run a particular workshop with certain kind of stakeholders. And then if you are very experienced in this and kind of know your way around, this is kind of then the next level up. You then grow into a true professional where you can use these skills that you've acquired in almost kind of any kind of situation. So to use this example of a workshop again, when before you've applied this technique only to workshops with team staff of a business team, for example, once you've gathered enough experience in this, you can run workshops with almost any kind of audience, senior management level, board of directors or so, and you know how to adjust and tune into the audience and the specific situation. Also kind of illustrated by these different kind of objects that the little guy juggles here. You have a larger arsenal of different tools that you can apply. So this is then the professional who can take what he's learned and transfer it into new situations. So this is probably the level a lot of people are in when they've been working in this job for a while. But what is kind of the next level up? The way I see it is then to become truly an expert in this field, where you're able to state best practices from what you've, from the experience that you gathered, from the trainings you've taken, from the application that you've had, and teach it to somebody else. The moment you can actually teach something, you find yourself on yet the next level on this step of mastery, where you leave behind just the applying skills and methodologies. And this can truly be something that you can aim for as the next step for you as a professional career as a business analyst. But then the question is, yes, is this then the end of the story? And maybe coming from a martial arts analogy, many people when they first start in karate or judo or so, they see, okay, I want to become a black belt, and then I'm a master in this particular martial arts. And then when you actually do take the exam and you are awarded your first black belt, you probably realize it's the first step on an entire new journey. And this is when you enter this this expertise, this mastery path, where you acquire yet more knowledge and kind of rise to yet another level. And this is what I try to call here kind of the guru level or the Zen mastery, when you are kind of an authority for, I put here, the life, the universe, and everything. So kind of a little quote from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. When you are an authority on best practices, on processes in your organization, on business knowledge, etc., then you are one of those gurus that people go to for advice. And mind you, it's not the boss. You're then not necessarily the boss of people, and you lead from being in authority of the subject, but rather you are an authority in this field, and this is what people come to. So in a nutshell, this model of 4 stages of learning and mastery, and the way you can then implement this, maybe in your organization, whether it's a very formal way of acquiring certain skills, or a more intuitive and laissez-faire kind of skill, is then, of course, up for you in your organization to discuss. But as a starting point and to give you personally an idea which way it can go, I try to illustrate it.
Thank you very much. So we already I already put it into the questions. I wonder if this guru has exactly the age 42, but you will never know. So yeah, thank you for this, and I'm now going to the materials which have been provided by Stefan. So a little bit animated, and that's your turn, Stefan. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, before I'm going really into the slide, many of you, or not many of you, know that I'm traveling around the world to talk about holistic business analysis. And this is my intake. And okay, the people that don't know yet what holism means, it originates from the Greek word holos, which means all, whole, entire. It's a concept that systems like, for example, physical, biological, chemical, social or economical systems and their properties should be viewed as wholes, not just as a collection of their parts. So to give an example, if you look at a car, you don't look at it as a collection of wheels, an engine, seats, a fuel tank. No, you look at it as a car. But at the same time, you're very well aware that it's composed of the same wheels, engine, fuel tank, and many other components. So in that same way, when applying a holistic business analysis, you will look at an organization as a whole and not only as a collection of employees, business domains, customers, processes, IT systems, changes, and so on. So instead of only being absorbed by working on solutions or customer journeys or process improvements or other initiatives, you will at any time consider the impact of your work on the whole organization. So my belief is that every business analyst should think and behave holistically. It should be trivial. And holism should become a second nature of each business analyst. So, but unfortunately, that is not the case. So let us go to the slide that I have presented. For those who don't know yet, the BACCM, the Business Analysis Core Concept Model, it's one of the strongest diagrams, I believe, in the BABOK, because it shows what a business analyst has to take into account. So it's, first of all, a conceptual framework for the business analysis profession. So for example, if you look at the definition of business analysis from the BABOK, there are two phrases, and it always refers to at least 5 of those 6 concepts. For example, one of them is the practice of enabling change in an enterprise by defining needs and recommending solutions, delivering value to stakeholders. That's one of those 2 definitions. So you always turn back to those 6 concepts. You see also each concept is an idea fundamental to the practice of business analysis, which also reflects in the definition from the BABOK of BA. Another one which is very important, and now I'm getting here, so each of those core concepts is defined by the other 5 core concepts. It can only be fully understood until all the concepts are understood. So, and also the other one is all core concepts holds equal importance or significance. So you see 6 core concepts, but you also see 15 relationships. So if you, for example, many of you are very much absorbed working on solutions, needs, well, described in requirements, and also stakeholders. Yeah, most of us are working with those 3, needs, solutions, and stakeholders. But that leaves us 3 other ones. Value, a number of you work with value, but most of the time value proposition, customer value, and so on. But you also have the value of the other stakeholders, people working in the back office. They also have value, and it should be a good thing. They are happy in their environment with a change. Change. Well, a business analyst is in fact a facilitator of change. It doesn't always have to involve solutions or IT solutions. Context, also a very strong concept. For example, have a soft or a hard Brexit, it changes your environment and your needs completely. To give an example, so my take on this roadmap for a BA is, well, if you want to understand your solution completely, well, you have to understand the needs and the stakeholders. Most of the time that is working well, but you also need to understand the value proposition to the different stakeholders. You have to look at the change. You have to be able to take the people from the as is to the to be, that they are still involved. And you also have to look at the context of your environment. So if you're very experienced in those three that I mentioned earlier, why not in your career always take in your back head the three other ones and well dive into and specialize a bit more in change or in value? The screen is gone. Rainer?
Yes.
Okay, I've got a black screen. I don't know if the other ones. Yeah.
I'm still fine on this end.
Yeah, I had a black screen suddenly. Okay. So my take is like explore in your career a bit more in depth into value, into change, follow a change management course or evolve to a change manager context, which is more on the level of business architecture. So there are a lot of things to explore, and it is important that all 6 of those concepts have to be somewhere in your head or on paper when you do and work on a change initiative. So that's a bit my take on the holistic view of being a business analyst.
Yeah, thank you very much, Stefan. This is quite important. So this BA CCM from the BABAC 3 is something which you can always think about. And I have a habit that I always think about the turtle, because in the early days this was called the turtle. And whenever I think about complex relationships between changes, need, context, I think about the turtle. That's a habit of mine to keep this in mind.
So for those interested at BA and Beyond in May, I will give a half-day workshop on the holistic business analysis, just to let them know.
And on the BA Day, on the European BA Day as well.
Yeah, exactly.
No problem. Okay, so this is the fourth, the last slide, which introduces our theses. And so I've taken the freedom to introduce a 6th perspective of the BABAC. So the BABAC, maybe some people of you know, it has 5 perspectives, and I thought that probably this is not enough. And actually I published this photo somewhere in LinkedIn, and I got a comment by Kevin Brennan. And Kevin Brennan is the author of the BABAC 2, and he has worked a lot on the BABAC 3, and he said that it wasn't intended to restrict the perspectives to 5. They just took the 5, let's say, most popular perspectives, and it's a good discussion that we add new perspectives to the BABAC. And so I took the perspective of service design. Because what you can see here on the slide is there is a kind of 2 sides. It's orange and blue, like the colors. It's a bit complementary, like the complementary colors orange and blue. And you can see more and more services are coming up, digital services. So regardless if you want to hire a bike, to call a taxi, to let's say get some information from the government, you expect digital services everywhere. And these digital services, of course, they have to come with a good customer experience. Otherwise, they won't be used. So they have to be low cost, they have to be trustworthy, they have to be reliable. You always have to rely on it if you use them. And of course you want to have your data safe, so security and conformity is extremely important. It should be legally conformed. And then on the other side, on the blue side, you have these providers, because the providers, they have to think about money, they have to think about business. They want to provide a service which finally pays off. And this comes with a lot of non-functional requirements, kind of reliability, adaptability, extendability. So services need to be or need to run quite easily. Otherwise, if it brings a lot of difficulties, regardless if it's operation or deployment, then it can become tricky to finance these services. And that's the lowest corner, so the low corner on the right side. So invest, cost, and profit. Of course, people, if they are offering services commercially, so you have probably the government, which is a non-commercial organization, but as well you have a lot of services where the people are offering services commercially, like rental bikes or whatsoever. Then of course it has to bring a return of investment and has to bring a profit, and the risks which are finally on the side of the provider should be kept very low. So what has this to do with business analysis? And I can say a lot, because business analysts need to be fit in all these areas. So it is not enough if you're only thinking about solutions, IT solutions. It is probably not enough if you're only thinking about the customer need. You have to take all these things into account, and you have to balance out what is feasible, what can be financed, what brings the aha effect on the customer side, and finally, what is accepted and will make it at the market. And if something doesn't make it, if a new service is not successful, then you should be quick enough, you should be in a position that you quickly can drop the service and invent the next one, because you cannot continue with something which is not successful. And before I close, I took the freedom to add a second slide. I'm sorry about that, but it's a short one. So the biggest challenge we might have in future is to integrate services, meaning the rental bike company knows from the train company, and they know from the hotel company your data, so that they can compile excellent services for you while you are on the travel or something. But of course, this is kind of made difficult due to data protection. So data protection is normally a good thing, but for the providers of digital services, it can be a kind of handbrake. So you always have to think from both perspectives as well. Yes, and that's my point. And probably we can say something about the certificates quickly, or we can already introduce the question round. So Victoria, this is actually a slide which I got from your side. Maybe you want to say some words before we start with the question and answer round.
Yes, because we are speaking about the career paths and the roadmap of a business analyst. Many people ask, first of all, how can I enter in this field, and then how can I grow? I liked very much the metaphor of the ladder, and especially the slide from Jan, a very nice one. And the answer is it depends, but sometimes it helps to have a certification. Yeah. So there is a certification for entry-level BAs, which is called the CBA, and many people who want to enter in this field, they first go for BBOK, they read the BBOK things, which are very helpful, and then they try their luck, and if they are successful, then they can say, I have a proof I know something. It is a theory on. So it's a basic knowledge, but still it's helpful to have a document which proves that you do have a knowledge and somebody tested you. Then you want to go more, you are more experienced, then you go for next level, which is CCBA, then CBAP. And of course, this information you can find at IIBA website, but what I wanted to stress is the real figures. Again, coming back to the salary survey, as you can see, people do really appreciate career advancement after being certified. Yes, so now I will look to the slide slightly. So as you can see, 36% says they really have more confidence at work because they know that what they know was tested. It's not something from their own imagination or their own opinion, but it's a standardized opinion of majority of international, globally recognized people. And also some of them even had some increased salary. These are 12 people. And you can check this slide later on. We can leave this slide here while we will be speaking, answer a question maybe. So you can have opportunity to check this
Yeah, this
Yeah,
is
so certificate sometimes help.
yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to do, to leave this slide as a background, because probably it's a slide which is rich of content and which can probably raise some questions. And the first question I have here is what skills are needed in general for a BA and in particular for the digital age? So maybe Victoria, you can go on and quickly summarize what you think what a BA needs to have as skills, not as certificates in particular, because the skills are
Yeah.
probably as well very much important. If you have a certificate, that's one point, but you have to have the skills, I think.
Yeah, so I think the main skill of a business analyst is curiosity and the ability to ask many questions without having the fear of being judged. Because some people, they're afraid to ask a question because they think, oh my God, if I ask this question, they think I don't know. That's not true. So you need to check and cross-check what you know is valid. Yes, assumptions are not a good. So beyond those soft skills, facilitation skills, conflict resolution skills, which are kind of obvious and by default, for digital projects, I would mention kind of complementary project skills. One is empathy toward customer. When we do personas, we analyze their needs, values, as Stefan mentioned, yeah, values. But on the hand, we go totally to the digital side when we care about technology, yeah, where we think about cybersecurity as a must because digital means we have a lot of data which is available and we don't want to leak anything. Yes, and the threat is quite big now. So cybersecurity is here, data analytics is here, and many other which is. So it's kind of like in totally opposite sides. One is empathy and social skills and ability to understand the client, doing customer journeys, all this stuff. And the other one is on the other spectrum, going totally to the machine learning side.
Yeah.
And so this is like just two big things, yes.
Yes.
Maybe my colleagues want to add something.
Yes, yes. So go ahead if you want to add something, raise your word. So I would like to ask what somehow raised my attention was this keyword authority. So Stefan and as well Jan probably used it. And Jan, you had this nice picture of the guru. The guru is an authority. So how can I become an authority if I'm an ordinary business analyst? What makes me an authority? What are the building blocks?
Well, I guess it's not. There's no real golden path to this. There's no, okay, follow the following steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, pass the exam, and then you are the authority. You become an authority if you are truly an expert and a holder of knowledge and willing to share as well in your field. People come to you naturally, not because in your company it's the process, well, you have to go and ask them, and if you have that in the tick box, then the project gets approved. No, if people come to you for your opinion and your advice because they know it's beneficial to them, then you have accomplished this. And the way to this place is not printed out for you. It's very much this Zen approach. You need to groom the gravel just for yourself, as an exercise for yourself, and out of an intrinsic motivation to learn and know more, and share it with other people. And then at some point you will become this authority that people enjoy and will come to on their own without being ordered to, because it's documented like this in the process description.
Yeah, thank you. One other thing, I have a little echo here. One other thing, and this is probably very interesting as well, is here's somebody who is working as a freelancer, and he asked the question right away. what are the daily rates I can earn as a BA in Europe? Because if people decide, let's say freelancers or other people decide to go for a career path, then probably even short-term daily rates are interested. With short-term, I mean 3 months, 6 months. So what you said, Jan, and what we are generally speaking about is more something which develops over years, where you have a community, where you have a home. But what is about these, let's say, feasibility analysis or something else which only takes 3 months or 6 months or something? What can you earn on the market? I would leave this to Stefan to start with it, and maybe the others can jump in.
So do I understand correctly that the question is still what kind of rates? That's a question?
Yeah,
Okay.
particular question. So we need a number.
Well, no. The thing is, I think there are even within Europe many differences. I think if you work in the city of London, you get totally different rates than you work somewhere in Romania, Hungary, or Italy or Spain. First of all, also short term and long term, so that makes a difference.
Maybe you can say Frankfurt, which is the middle of Europe.
Well, Frankfurt, I think I have been offered a contract to Frankfurt, and that varies for a junior up to a senior between the 500 and the 800 euros a day as a freelance. Yeah. But that also depends if you can go directly or you have an intermediate. That also takes a little percentage of the rate. So end customer, it varies. I think if you go Western Europe between end customer between 550, 600 and 900 end customer. But a freelance, well, very rarely goes directly to the customer. Very often has to work with intermediates. But then again, maybe Victoria can give maybe a better idea how it goes to most of the Eastern European countries.
Yes, please go ahead.
I think it depends, as you said, as also not only on the location but the qualification. Yeah, like are you more experienced or are you certified or not? Because here certification make a big difference. As freelancer, you need to be over certified to have a good fee. Yes, and also it depends who is the client. Is it a public institution? Is it a private one? I mean, is it a more international or more local one? It depends. So there's no. So I would agree on your figures, Stefan, that these are quite accurate. Yeah. So I would not say that there's a much difference in the other side of Europe.
Yeah, but Victoria, you mentioned
maybe from a relative perspective, not being an external, being able to quote on what you can achieve as a daily rate in the market, but a relative perspective, my gut feeling would tell me that between a junior and kind of an expert or a very senior level, it's at least twice the daily rate. Mm-hmm. So kind of what Stefan also suggested, the range. And of course, once you reach this expert level towards a guru level, if you are the Barack Obama speaker on the behalf of the business analyst, of course, sky's the limit. If you want Barack Obama to speak at your event, you have to pay rates that are off the list. But kind of on this normal scale from the novice, so very junior, to the more professional and the senior expert level, it's at least twice the relative salary, which say from my gut feeling.
Yeah, so for sure we cannot afford Barack Obama to speak on the European Business Analysis Day. This is a higher league. But I would like to jump on what Victoria said. She said in your first let's say speech, you said that the CBAP certificate, or probably the CCBA certificate, it can somehow increase your rate. Is there a percentage? Can you say, okay, CBAPs get 15% more, or is there a rule of thumb or something?
Who do you ask, Rainer?
Yeah, so if I have a CBAP for example. So do I earn more? Can I really quantify what a CBAP brings?
So are you asking me like
Yeah, I'm asking you, or I'm asking
Victoria,
the
or
other.
is it general?
What is your experience if you have made
Okay,
a
I would
CBAP?
say it's never 50%. It's never 50% because
No, I said
it
15. I
has a
said
quite
one
big
five.
fee. Yeah.
I said 15, 1-5.
Ah, okay. Maybe that's more accurate. Yes. I thought you said like double it. That would be nice.
Yeah,
I think it would be very popular certification if it will double your income.
no.
So it depends. If we check the slide which is in front of us, is 90%, yeah, more. But this is responded. Yeah, so only 5,000 people responded. So that can be around this figure.
Yeah.
Yeah, like more than 20%.
So what?
And also
Yes,
count
Stefan.
that sorry, also take into account these figures on the slide, those are averages worldwide. In some countries, they don't
Yes.
recognize business analyst certification where they do with a PMI certification. So the certification of business analyst is catching up, and in other countries, it's very well recognized and valued. So it's an average.
Mhm. Yeah. So what I would always tell people who ask this question is that if you have a certificate, then you have a story to tell. So because if you are somehow recruited, or if you have the chance to take part in an interview, then you can tell them, hey, I'm a CBAP, I have studied this and that, and I think this and that, and you have a kind of leading position. And it's always good to have a leading position if you get recruited, or if you are sitting in an interview. That's what I'm telling. And let's say, back to the facts. When I made my CBAP several years ago, for me it was like bringing all my things in order, bringing all my knowledge into structures, and this helped me a lot. But this is just my comment. Okay, I have another question. So how is it in your companies, Jan, at Uniper, or in the companies you are working? Is there a career path, a kind of personal development plan for business analysts? I know that in most companies we have something for project managers. We have assessments, things like that. Does this exist for business analysts as well?
So at our company here at Uniper, yes and no. We do have this in place. We, together with HR, defined for certain levels almost like a curriculum that you can take. And there's a list of trainings that you can take, and then kind of get a tick box on this. However, it's unfortunately to this day not truly recognized in this way that, I don't know, you also by taking and these exams and formally completing this level, if you will, that you then also automatically get promoted into a next category of the tariff payment, for example, or the career class. That's unfortunately not the case, but out of the BA community, we structured such a plan of skills that you should be able to demonstrate, and trainings that you can take in order to acquire this knowledge, yes, and it's also aligned with HR.
Yeah, great. Yeah, great. Thanks for this. So
I would like to add something.
Yeah, please.
From my experience working with corporates, especially what I wanted to say is applies to European banks with which I'm working. If it's not an agile company, but it's classical company, then they also have a career path, yes, like Jan mentioned. The only thing which I know for those companies is that you cannot step up, like level up, until you have a certification. Yeah, so they are really using this as testing their employees. Are they good enough to step up?
Yeah.
So it's coming popular for HR to know that somebody is ready. They have the maturity. So beyond the training which they have, of course, and experience they need to have. Also, they request a certificate, and usually it's an IIBA certificate.
Yeah, so
So for instance, let's just take an example, from entry level to senior level, they request a certificate. So to become an entry level, they request a CBA, then they request a CBA, then they request a CBAP, and then they have like enterprise BA kind of level.
Could I add another short note? What I've experienced in Belgium, I'm a consultant. I work 6 months here, 2 years there, but also what I heard on the conferences in Europe is that a BA career roadmap within companies, there's still a lot of catch up to do.
Yeah.
There are very few companies who do make work from it. So, us, IIBA, masVenta, and other organizations, we've got a lot of work to do to introduce and make companies aware the value of a business analyst and the value difference between a novice and an experienced or a guru business analyst, what it can bring value to your organization, that it should be also be recognized within organizations. So still a lot of work to do, in my experience.
Yes, absolutely. So what I'm thinking about sometimes is probably you know this T-shaped model, T, the letter T, that you have people, probably authorities, who have a very broad knowledge. They know about business process management, they know about agile, they know about business intelligence. They really have a very broad knowledge. And others, they are specialists. They know exactly what to do to build up a data warehouse. They are business intelligence specialists, but they have never built a business process model. And probably they have not that much worked with other departments because they are so specialized. So if you would give an advice to people who are listening now, in which direction should I go? Should I try to get broader, to broaden my knowledge, to know as much as I can from different areas? Or should I have one specialty, which I can say, okay, here I am the expert, I'm the BI expert, or I'm the perfect product owner kind of, I'm the agile expert, or I know how to scale agile, I'm very familiar with SAFe. What is the advice you would give? I know that there is no black and white answer. So someone picks up this question. Go ahead.
So
okay,
if I may
Stefan.
go first then.
Yeah.
Or Stefan, you go. I don't know.
No, I meant Jan. I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry. All right. Yeah. In my humble opinion, just looking out in the world, it's changing so rapidly already. Technology is exchanging so quickly. The half time of something that's top of the art right now is decreasing, and it's only going to get faster once we reach the second half of the chessboard. I don't think to be really the ultimate expert in one particular technology will do the trick anymore. 20 years ago, if you knew mainframe, this was great. And you could do lots of stuff, but just look at it, how quickly things got outdated. And the minute you today are not familiar with topics left and right, you will find yourself on the off track. And so in my humble opinion, the broader you know stuff, the better it is. And you need to have the skill set to become very knowledgeable in many areas. So you don't have to know everything in every field, but if you are pretty good in most of them, that's a big advantage over being the ultimate expert in just one particular topic.
Mm-hmm. Yes, but what I've seen in my years is that if you have a specialty, probably one or two specialties, and if they are really standing there like a star, then if you are a freelancer or if you are in an interview, then you can as well build a story on this. You are the expert in data warehousing. You are the expert in agile scalability and things like that. So it probably helps if you have something where you have been specialized on, but I'm absolutely of the same opinion that you should have a broad knowledge. As I've shown in my service design slide, you have to cover so many knowledge areas that it is not enough to be specialized, let's say, only in business intelligence.
Can I pick in over there? Because Christina Lovelock, for those who know her, she's very good, and she's also looking at the more human aspect of business analysts. She says, like, well, you can learn technology, you can learn techniques. What you can't learn, or is very difficult to learn, is to interact with people. So if you look at BAs being facilitators of change, it's very important that you have a broad skill set in people skills. The other ones you can learn. And like Jan just said, things are evolving so rapidly. So invest in being a good people person. And one of two specializations. One is, for example, process analysis, to just give an example.
Yeah.
And look at the role in a holistic way. Well, I can't repeat it enough. You should consider your organization as a whole, and not only as the agile development or whatever, or SAFe, or the mainframe. You should look at your organization as a whole, and then you can see which techniques you have to invest some time in. But that goes much faster than the T-shaped model I like a lot.
Yeah, thank you for bringing up this social knowledge area, let's say social skills. You need to bring people together, you need to make people talk to each other to find out what is what are conflicts, what are hidden agendas, what is the real need of the company. And yes, this is not only coming with technical skills, this is coming with a lot of empathy and with a kind of social intelligence. And of course, this is not easy to learn it. You cannot take a book and learn it, but you can try to collaborate with other people, to get feedback, and to become better and better, even in the social skills. Okay, so yes, we are coming more closely to an end. We have another 10 minutes to go, but I probably don't want to exceed it to 60 minutes. So as we are now in the area of social skills, so I would like to bring up one topic, which is communication. If you are a BA, if you are working as a business analyst, what is your responsibility in terms of communication? Are you the one who is responsible for the people to communicate? So how can you act if you see that the communication is not enough? Let me give you one example. Some people say, okay, let's work in an agile mode, and we all know that communication is a core of the agile methodology. But then you suddenly have a wall between the external customer, where probably the needs are coming from, the requirements are coming from, and the kind of demand management in the company and the development. And this wall between the external customer and the other people is only, let's say, peers, is only open for some special people, some focal points to the customer. But there is not a situation where the developer can talk to the end customer. What would you recommend in such cases? So, Stefan and Jan, they are both looking like they wanted to say something. Stefan, go ahead.
Go ahead, Jan. I think that's a difficult one.
That's a difficult
because
one.
If there's like how do you call that? If there's a small communication channel and it's not working, well, it's something you have to escalate. If you have the view as a business analyst on what needs to be communicated, try to visualize. A lot of people are very better in a visual communication. And do your effort, but if the people that are responsible with the external stakeholders and don't do their work properly, you have to escalate. Yeah, it's a difficult one.
So maybe to
yes?
add on this, what you mentioned earlier, Stefan, as well, this holistic view, and that the BA is, of course, the facilitator of change. And if you have the opinion or the expectation towards yourself and the work that you do, that you will deliver the solution that fits the customers or the user's need, then yes, it's also your responsibility to figure out what this need is. And if there's conflicting opinions, if there are conflicting interests in this, then it is your job to resolve this and find out what the true need is and the solution that fulfills this. And if this involves going around, talking to people, maybe engaging with them on a one-to-one basis rather than written communication, or in a workshop where there's 10 people there and you might not be able to kind of get people to speak freely, then this is what you have to do, and it's not the project managers or the steering committee's job to then figure out what the real need of a particular group of stakeholders is. I believe it's the BA's job.
So meaning you have to play with the techniques from which you can find as well 50 in the BABOK. I'm not saying that everything is in the BABOK, but there are at least 50 techniques in the BABOK. So which technique, for example, can help to engage stakeholders who are not really interested, to turn probably opposing stakeholders into supporting stakeholders?
All of the above, but some are probably more suited than others. And please, Victoria, you're the expert on the BABOK. Yeah.
I would use the one, I think it's in agile extension of the book, which is called the empathy map, when we actually try to understand why are they against, because you mentioned somebody is against the change, or what pains, even like the one, the value, the canvas, the value proposition canvas, where again we come with the pain, and then we can see what the gain is, and we can design our solution based on their requirements. So I will start with the empathy map, seeing, okay, what do they see? What do they hear about the change? What do they know? Versus what we want them to know, we want them to see, and we want them to feel. And if there is a mismatch between those two, then we need to have a strategy, and here we come for elicitation. Yeah. So yes, communication skills are the basis, because if we are failed to gather the needs, the proper needs, then whatever solution we will deliver, it might be perfect, it might be awesome, gorgeous from technology perspective, it will not fulfill the right needs, and it will not be a right solution. And so we first need to think, how can we gather the real stuff, real needs, real requirements, the right ones, and only then to think about how can we solve those problems, in which way, the best way we can resolve.
Yes, thank you. So we are closely to the end. Probably we will pick the last question, and then we have some time for a closing word. And I take the freedom to switch this slide to make a bit advertisement for the last minute, because this is the European Business Analysis Day, where you have already spoken there, Victoria. Thanks for that last year. And so Stefan has as well spoken already there. But next year, 2020, Stefan will do a workshop on holistic business analysis, and probably this is as well containing some of the statements he has given today. So, but before we start to go into the closing round, I would like to bring one particular word into the discussion. How important is SAFE for the business analyst of today? Scaled Agile Framework. So you hear it everywhere. So who's picking it? Stefan, you look like you wanted to say something.
Well, to be honest, I just started with a new customer who intends to work with SAFE. Well, to be honest, if you are working on solutions as a business analyst, it could be, and you are working agile, it could be very interesting. I think it's in an agile environment almost one of the crucial approaches, I think, for development. But not all BAs are working on solutions or on IT solutions. So it depends on what you're actually doing as a business house. But if you are really doing development, solution, IT development, yeah, SAFe is, I think it's a very good approach in an agile environment. Yeah.
So what I have seen as well is that portfolio management is more and more influenced by the SAFe approach for it, because in portfolio management you are not in a project itself, you are not developing something, you are more deciding what to do next. And SAFe has a quite lean approach to do this, and I've seen even business analysts who have taken a role in this upper layer of SAFe. Okay. Yes. So, as I said, I would like to introduce the closing round. So, ladies first again, Victoria, what are your closing words?
I would invite everyone to be like a tree, meaning first to build a trunk of general knowledge and only then go for specialization. Because if you have a weak trunk, all the roots you will have on the branches will not be very stable.
Great.
That's it.
So Jan, the same sequence. It's your turn.
All right. Yes, I think the number one quality that sets the business analysts away from most other roles in an organization is this natural curiosity that Victoria also mentioned very early on. BAs tend to want to just know stuff. I can just encourage everybody who is working in the role of a BA or does business analysis in some other formal role that he has to keep up this curiosity, to try to learn about everything and their uncle, and grow that way, because only then can you achieve this real level of mastery where people come to you for advice out of an intrinsic own motivation and not because they have to tick the box.
Yeah. So really a go-to person.
Sorry, I didn't hear you.
So really try to become a go-to person. This is what I say. Yeah, Stefan.
Okay, well, and I'm being the third, means that some things might have already been said. Curious, like Victoria and Jan said earlier, you have to be curious. You have to make sure that people, that you're very well approachable. So communication is very important. And then not being afraid to do. So experience, build up experience, do things, come out and try things. If you did it wrong, well, you've learned a lot. So it's do things, experience, build up experience. Otherwise, you'll never be an expert or you will never be a guru. Without experiencing, you will never get there.
Yes, absolutely. A guru has experience. That's the definition, kind of. So, and what I would like to add to what you said is you should as well be encouraged in us to sometimes say no or sometimes stay for your position. If you have a recommendation and the recommendation is not the favorite one for the management or for other important stakeholders, you shouldn't just change it for the sake of them. You should stay for it. You should stand for your opinion. And if you have good rationals, then you will finally be a trustworthy business analyst, because you are telling the truth, even if the truth is not always the preferred recommendation you are giving. Okay, so let me say thank you to all. We have exactly 3 o'clock, so we are exactly on time, and we have a nice key for you. We have BA Roll 912. So this is the promotion code with which you can get 10% off even on the early bird tickets, which will expire end of January. So please consider to come to Frankfurt. You would see Stefan, probably Victoria. Are you coming? I don't know exactly. So yeah, let's meet in Frankfurt again, and probably let's have another webinar with another topic. I think this is a good round, and I thank you again. Thank you to the experts. Thanks, Victoria. Thanks, Stefan. Thanks, Jan. And have a nice day.
Yeah, you too. Have a nice day.
And thank you very much, everybody, for dialing in.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.